Welcome to the VRLY Podcast, the leaders in real estate tech and marketing, with your host, Tyler Irons.
Welcome to the VRLY Podcast. Today we have on Zach Schreiber from Pinnacle Commercial Group. Zach, appreciate you coming on with us.
Yes, good morning, Tyler, and thanks for having me. It's good to be on your show. I think the last time we did this, I was the interviewer, so good to be in the seat.
Yes, you were an excellent host.
A year later, who would have thought?
Yeah, we're growing up slowly. But appreciate you coming on today. So I wanted to have you on and just talk a little bit about, who you are, your background, and what you've been doing, over 2020 with Pinnacle Group.
Yeah, well, obviously 2020 was a hectic, wild year with the pandemic. So as you mentioned, I'm at Pinnacle Commercial Group. We're a small brokerage based in Lincoln, but been doing a lot of brokering sales in Nebraska and looking to kind of expand nationwide. But to get right into it, 2020 was a wild year as I transitioned from a different brokerage over to Pinnacle Commercial Group, where I have Boomer Peterson and Bob Peterson, the broker there. So, I guess when I joined the team in 2019, they were awarded the Power Broker Award by CoStar, which is one accolade that I do highly acknowledge because it's a team effort. And we were just awarded the 2020 Power Broker Award of the Year. So we're really ecstatic, and we think we have a good chance to do so in 2021 and have a lot of activity to carry over into this year.
Yeah, well, it says a lot to come out with some awards and hardware after, the 2020 COVID. So that's impressive. You guys were able to maintain and keep growing and keep pushing the business forward during that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess last March, obviously when the pandemic started to hit, things started to close down. There was a lot of what ifs, a lot of scenarios. A lot of investors were kind of lost in what we were going to do. And definitely sales dried up for a while, but our group remained strong, knew that we were trading time and information, and kept the conversations going with our builders, our developers, our investors. And then when things started to clear up a little bit and we had foresight what was going to happen, we were in a good position to make our investors make strong moves, and we're continuing to see that activity. And now that things are kind of settling down again, with the election, all the politics, all that noise is kind of settled. Just every election, obviously, investors are hesitant what they're doing. With this one, there was a lot of what ifs with 1031 exchanges and interest rates from the Fed level and mortgage rates, like all that was definitely an impact, and everyone was kind of hesitant. But now there's a lot of pivoting happening across the board, where investors are definitely trying to liquidate some of their capital and find the right deal, which is now what we're seeing in 2021 is it's becoming a lot harder to find a good opportunity because of how much money has been flooding the market from the investment standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that. What are some of your solutions for your investors, or how are you helping them, circumvent that so that they are able to find those properties or those deals?
Yeah, I think, me and you personally have worked on a couple commercial deals, and I think you're very understanding how important communication is. Someone like me and Boomer are constantly actively in the market, and we come across more opportunities than most. That's why a lot of investors are hesitant to work with a realtor, a broker. But at the end of the day, we're the ones that have the most day-to-day action into that, the one reviewing the most deals. And so for us, it's constantly staying in communication with all those investors and our builders and seeing that foresight of what a good opportunity is and being able to make a quick decision. And so when we come to our investors, we build it up so that when we have that right opportunity that fits their needs, they're ready to pull the trigger. And then on the backside, we have a good relationship with the appraisers, the lenders, and we all have a good understanding of how we can work together. And the most important thing that we did in 2020, for instance, was making sure that we were closing those deals. Obviously, if we're talking multifamily, there's issues with getting appraisals and posting notice and getting in with those tenants. Mm-hmm. So we are making those deals a lot more cleaner, where now in 2021, we're getting more listings posted on the market, where we did a lot more off-market deals in 2020. But I think this year we'll see a lot more deals go on the market, just because we can create more of a competitive market, and it's not, and we know that we can assure that our sellers are closing those deals.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, because last year, I mean, everything we did together, you know, for my own stuff personally was all off market.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we did a single thing that was on market, where this year, you know, I've noticed we are looking at more things that are actually on the market. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a big shift. I was pretty shocked by how much we actually, you know, you got the deal off market. You had a very small amount of time to make a decision, and that was the reality of the world we were in then.
Yep, and it's quite the training process for our investors or any investor. I think a lot of people were pulling some of their money out of the stock market and thought there would just be an easy opportunity. And so, like again, going back to that communication, where if like last year, for instance, I was fortunate to do 15 deals off market, but when those sellers come to me, I'm promising them that in 24 hours to 48 hours, this opportunity is going to be under contract, so that we can find you that next opportunity to 1031 exchange. So what we were really blessed to do was to upgrade and level up our investors' portfolio. So if they're selling a smaller asset type, like a single family investment property that they had, a duplex or a small commercial building, we were able to upgrade their portfolio that made more sense for them and their financial situation. So there was a lot of new coming investors looking at maybe multifamily because they knew that they could scale their money faster and wanted to take more risk. And then some of our investors that, you know, were able to buy a bunch of those single family short sales from 2008, selling off a portfolio of those and upgrading into more of a triple net opportunity where they're building generational wealth. So that's, again, coming back to the communication aspect with our clients, understanding what their financial goals are, and then finding the right opportunity and keeping that communication line open with the lenders, the appraisals, and understanding what we're seeing on an larger economical scale, so that we can invest the money smart locally.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So I was also very blown away by, you know, when I actually took a step back and saw the entire ecosystem of all the deals you guys were working. You know, this guy's moving this and she has to move this, and it's pretty unbelievable the infrastructure that has to go into actually you guys thinking out, you know, all the moves before it happens, because there's so many people that are leveling up at the same time, and you know, there's 20 things that have to happen perfectly for it to work for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And honestly, our clients are all really good friends by the time we're done with the deal. But what's nice about being at Pinnacle Commercial Group, someone like me, I work with 6 builders and developers, but I'm touching a lot of different asset types. So I'm doing land and development, I'm doing industrial sales. Boomer's leveled up our entire team with triple net opportunities, sale leasebacks, more of those corporate leases that we're getting. You know, he's been huge with Dollar Generals. We call him Mr. Dollar General because he closed, I think, 7, 8 last year. So that's pretty incredible. So if a Dollar General is coming through and being built in Nebraska, Boomer's probably going to be the guy to call him that. So again, we're touching a lot of different asset types, but by the time we sell that one, you got to go place your money into something else. And so that's what's nice about our team and how we're growing is each person's kind of focusing on a different asset, has a specialized niche, which is allowing us to kind of scale and find that opportunity to do those off-market deals and place money at a quicker pace than maybe what a larger national brokerage is doing, because they might be, if you go into that as a team member, you might be focused on large apartment deals. But for us, you know, I'm doing a lot more volume of deals locally that I can place money at a quicker pace and not be limited to what kind of asset type I'm working on.
Got it. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give to, you know, someone that's looking to maybe start doing some commercial transactions, or has a commercial listing and they don't know what to do with, or a possible listing, or anyone who just really doesn't know what to do with the commercial real estate side of things?
Yeah, I think here locally in Lincoln and Omaha, you'll see a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of investors that do get together, and I think that's really, really, that's amazing. Like, there's no better way to get your skin in the game, because if you really want to get into investing, you have to be active. Everyone's capital investment is going to be a little bit different, but if you're going to get started, I'm going to just assume that you don't have as much capital as someone who's been in it 10 years, or you don't have that trust with the lender. So I always tell people there's going to be a few after this pandemic and everything that's gone on, one of the most key ingredients has been lending. Obviously, rates are really low. So those that have really succeeded are those that had the existing portfolio to leverage against. A bank's going to go and leverage more against them because they know they're going to get paid back. Makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. So having those conversations with your lender and having a broker that is constantly doing deals off market more in tune, not just a lot of activities, but those that are actually finding off market deals and presenting those are the people you want to keep close to you. And then having that, depending on what asset type you are, having that relationship with the property manager and getting those expenses down, or whatever your niche is. Like, if you're getting into multifamily and you can do a little bit more property management yourself and are more of a handyman, maybe that's a good asset type for you to get in. But all that information and meeting like-minded individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners that have the mindset to level you up. I think everyone in our community in the Nebraska area is really good about leveling you up. So if you can surround yourself with those like-kind individuals, the better off you're going to succeed and find more opportunity.
Right. Yep. I mean, that just goes back to the old adage. I mean, you're the most liked 5 people you hang out with the most. So it's if you want to get into commercial, you better start finding some commercial people.
That's absolutely right.
It's definitely a network relationship here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you guys are doing different in commercial that maybe they're not doing in residential, or vice versa?
Well, I think one of the biggest investments that I've made with my own career has been giving into technology, and that's kind of why I'm sitting here with you. Is VRLY's been a huge add-on and huge value proposition for what I do for my clients and how I get exposure to meet new investors. So it just kind of changing the game in that matter, where it's kind of been an old school where commercial real estate is definitely a lot about relationships, but we have an opportunity with social media and digital marketing where we can scale and meet new clients by utilizing that data and being smart with it, so that I can, as our brand kind of grows from a branding perspective, and also just scaling our business. That's been one of our biggest. I mean, with everything we always do a just close video, not what we have for listings, but we're actually showing people that we're closing a lot of business. Especially when I joined Boomer and his team, one of the things I noticed is I didn't realize how much business he'd done. He's astronomical amount of business, but by getting that exposure out, we've seen people like, oh, okay, you're closing these Dollar Generals. I want to get one of those too. These seem like a no-brainer when you really get into it.
Right.
So social media and digital marketing has been a huge add-on for our team, and something that we can leverage as we continue to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And I've noticed too that, like, even when I think back to when I first got into, real estate and things like that, it is such a network game that sometimes it isolates newcomers or people outside of that, right? So before, like, you weren't reaching people who were up and coming or who were just trying to get into it. So they didn't get to see your sales. They didn't get to see your networks. They didn't get to understand the Dollar Generals and, how all of the multifamily leasing and everything works. Like, I think that's one thing you've done that's made a big impact is that you're actually sharing that now. So it's not just reaching your network and like other agents, but it's also reaching, those potential clients of the future who don't know anything and are just trying to like learn and get their toes wet and see what it's all about. But now they can actually like visualize and follow along with what you're doing. So, you don't know who the next big investor is going to be because maybe they're 18, maybe they're 19 today, but they're starting to think that way and they're going into their careers and their journeys. And at some point they might be the next big investor. So
right.
I think that's a big impact.
And you nailed it on the head. A lot of that investment that I make into social media is not for that instant win, but it's a long-term. If I put that time and energy into it, it's 10 years from now when that person is ready, they're the next investor.
For sure.
So yeah, you nailed it.
Yep. I think that's huge. And I've always, one of my biggest personal frustrations with commercial has always been the lack of pictures and like access to visualize the property before I have to make a call. Right. And, especially with like the new economy model, like consumers, buyers, renters, leasers, like they don't want to call to see if they like it or not. If they like it, they will call. Like they're really just looking to see if they don't like it. And, so that they can just push out the ones they don't like. They don't want to waste their time. They don't waste their energy. And that was always a big part of commercial. I felt was always really far behind was you had to call the leasing agent. You had to call, the listing agent to just go see the property to even get a picture. I mean, you really just got the external images and well, that, I can go to Google and do that. That's nothing special. So we definitely, I definitely appreciate and value that you guys are doing things outside of that older model.
Right. And that is, for us, it's understanding that, okay, in this market, inventory is going to move a lot quicker. But if we make that time and energy and put it towards, for instance, like a Matterport scam, or doing drone and doing that topography, or doing the 6D technology with our builders, if we start to understand the nuances of each bit of technology, then when the market does shift, we're at a good position that we can leverage it in the right way. But it's always moving and adapting so quick, and it's just fascinating that for such one of the largest industries and on a larger economical scale, like, it's just so mind-boggling to me that there aren't a lot of younger brokers coming into the game and kind of disrupting the space. But it's definitely soon. There's definitely a lot of people that will start to copy what we're doing, but I think that's what encourages
as they
growth.
should.
Yeah, and they should, and obviously that's what we want, because our clients are looking at other broker stuff. But yeah, it's gonna start shifting pretty quick, I think.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a huge impact. Once people start, seeing what someone else does and implementing it into what they're doing, it drives the industry forward, which is better for, it's better for the agents, it's better for the consumers, it's just better in general for everyone. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big impact, and I think you guys are definitely leading the way right now in commercial around here for sure with everything you're implementing. And I mean, you guys are a big proprietors of, like NFC technology, things like that too, which is near field communication for anyone who doesn't know. But it's, it's taking those technologies and putting them into what you're doing on a day to day and just driving your business forward. And I think it's going to make a big shift in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny. You mentioned the NFC chip. For instance, I wasn't carrying around an actual physical, tangible business card, and then I met another broker looking at a larger commercial deal, and he's so used to that tangible thing. I touched my phone with his phone, and it popped up, and he was just mind blown. But you still have to adapt. He's like, I still need that. I still put it in my Rolodex, and that's how he operates. So it's just like anything in technology. You need to still work with that older generation for what they're comfortable with. But it's just fascinating, just understanding how other people work and how used to the way it is in this industry and how it's going to shift.
Yep. Yeah, definitely, for sure. So that's a lot of insight for sure. And I appreciate you sharing it with us. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, I mean, I really do appreciate you having me on the set. Again, if you are looking to get into commercial investments, definitely reach out to us at Pinnacle Commercial Group. Love to have a conversation with you. Love to see what your investment goals are in the future. Not even if you're necessarily doing something today, but it's nice, again, going back to communication, having that dialogue today. And then soon, when you are ready, you're looking towards and setting your goals and working towards those goals. So definitely reach us, and you can find us at pinnaclecommercial.com.
Perfect. And do you have a number that they can reach you guys at?
Well, I'll just throw out my own personal line, not to be selfish.
Wow. Okay, I love it.
But at 402-202-4348, and find me on any social media platform. I'm constantly spreading my beautiful face all across the internet platform.
You do that very well. Yes, so good job. Well, appreciate you coming on, Zach. Look forward to all the stuff you have going on in the future and following along and seeing what else we can make happen.
All right. Thanks, Tyler.
Yep.